welcome back to This Takes the Cake. We are super excited and honored to be here with Miss Lauren Kay from The Knot. And it sounds like you have been there. When did The Knot start? We'll just start there.
Ooh, okay. You're really putting me on the spot here. I want to say we are 22 or 23 years in now. It actually started, if you can remember way
So
back.
old, it's older than both of us. Got it.
Exactly. If you can remember back, it was actually part of an AOL platform. Do you remember when you would like log on to dial-up internet and
Oh,
you would have
yeah.
an AOL screen? That's how
Mhm.
the Knot got started. And then we launched a magazine and we kind of grew from there.
That's awesome. That's so cool. So we'll tell everybody that's listening what the Knot is. I'm sure everyone knows what the Knot is, but it is a leading all-in-one wedding technology platform that really helps couples navigate through the wedding process. They don't know where to begin. What do I do? How much are things? And it's a suite of digital products. And with those, I mean, just from using it, I've used it since 2010, so 15 years. I mean, you can find anything from photographer, a venue, how much things should cost, to reviews, which are so crucial in the world of if you're planning a destination wedding of where to go.
Totally.
And I did not know this, but it can connect you to over 200,000 local wedding professionals. That is crazy. And I've always wondered that. I'm a very business person. I'm like, I wonder how many people are on this platform, so that is so amazing. You can do wedding websites, you can do registries. I mean, the whole thing that you need for weddings. And it's amazing. And I know that you don't know this yet. So I've been a huge believer in the Knot since I started in 2010 because no one can beat the SEO of the Knot. So if anyone is listening, you're never going to beat them because you don't have enough money. Okay.
My
So,
strategists are going to love to hear this.
um, and as we expand to each city, they're like, "Oh, I don't want to pay for the." I'm like, "Nope, you're staying on the Knot. You got to be on there for SEO." So, I'm a firm believer in the Knot. So I'm super excited to talk more and let's kind of dig in. So, how did you get involved with the Knot?
So I came to the Knot as an editor in 2013, about like 3 months before I walked down the aisle myself. So I was
Okay.
inundated with all of this brand new inspiration because that is our goal, right? To be cutting edge, to know all the trends before they're trends. So I had enough time to second guess every decision I was making on my wedding day.
Right.
But my background is rooted in journalism. I went to journalism school, and I bounced around a bit. I was working for a golf publication, and then in the height of 2008, when everybody's magazines were folding, mine did as well. So I pivoted a little bit, and I went back to school for graphic and digital design, and found myself selling wedding stationery, which was
Okay.
such a wild journey. It was at that weird moment in time where everyone was meeting online, but nobody was talking about it yet, right? So
Right.
I'd sit down with a couple and I'd be like, "Oh, tell me your story. How did you meet?" They'd be like, "Oh, we met through friends." And by like the second or third appointment, they were like, "It was actually on a dating app." Like it was some sort of dirty word.
Right. Yeah,
I
that was a
love that.
bad thing then. Now it's just
Right?
normal.
Now it's normal.
Now I'm
Exactly.
like,
I
what's
love
that
the
app? I
evolution.
haven't heard of that one.
Exactly. So then I bounced from there to manage the J. Crew Bridal Boutique on Madison Avenue here in New York City. And that was trippy because we dealt with all sorts of brides, all sorts of bridesmaids, mother-in-laws, those big dress appointments where everyone would gather when you'd pop the champagne and say yes to the dress. And it was really fun. And it gave me different understandings of how weddings work, how they come together. I certainly had planned my own, and I have starred as a bridesmaid in many a ceremony and reception. But then
Right.
I got to come to the Knot and really kind of put together all my interests, which was such a gift. And like you said, it is a really incredible resource. And I feel so proud to work there because I know we're not curing cancer, but we are helping people navigate this really big moment in their lives and giving them all the tools to do it in a way that, creates joy, not stress, that helps support all the decisions, and that leaves them with these incredible lasting memories in this first chapter in their forever.
Right. No, absolutely. And I mean, even like in the Knot app, the wedding website, like people keep that up too, because that's cool to go back and read people's stories and things like that. I have people will
Yeah.
buy the custom URL and they'll literally leave it up. I mean, for years. So it is really cool to see. So, okay, what would you say are the top tools that the Knot uses for like for the couples to stay organized.
Yes. So, like you said, we have a whole suite of tools, which I love because not everybody needs everything, but it's all there in case you want any of it.
Right.
I think what makes us a little bit different is we are really focused on helping you, right? Like we want to take you every step of the way. So we've learned recently through our Not Real Wedding study that 90% of the planning actually takes place online. This is wild to me.
It
Like I was
is.
somebody who like cut things out of magazines when I was getting
Same.
married, and it's all digital now. So what I
Yep.
love is that all of our tools are digital. So we really are meeting you where you are, whether that's in your pocket, on your commute to work on the subway, or at home at your desktop, planning with your partner. And we have a lot of tools that I think are really helpful and unique. One that I'm super excited about is our budget advisor. The Not Budget Advisor was launched
Right.
earlier this year. It is incredible. So many people come up to planning their wedding and they've never planned a party of this magnitude before, and they have no idea what anything costs. So they make this arbitrary budget based on, oh, I think it's going to cost this much. And then they quickly find themselves realizing everything costs more than they expected, right?
Right.
So the Not Budget Advisor sets to really put you on the right path from go. We want to make sure that when you are making your budget, you're doing it with real data. So it provides couples with wedding budget estimates based on what they can spend. So you can start to really understand those costs. And in addition to data, we have all of these really great insights from people who are already on our platform, pricing insights, tips for how you can save, also estimates for what it might cost to get married in Boise, Idaho versus Philadelphia. So it's a really helpful tool to narrow in on a budget that's realistic, that's going to set you up for success from go. So I always tell couples, head there first. It'll help you
Right.
really nail that realistic budget, and it'll make you feel confident making all the decisions that come afterwards. You'll know where to spend, where to save, and you can also align your budget with your priorities. I always tell couples, pick 2 or 3 things that you really want to focus
Yes.
on and put your budget there first, and then let everything else trickle after that.
Right. And so this is a new feature?
It is. It's a
Okay,
new
that's
feature.
cool.
It's getting
Okay.
better by the day. I love it. I feel like it's kind of like a look behind the window too,
I
right?
need
Like
to
you
go
always
check. I haven't looked at that because
yes.
the bride on their side, they're using it a lot. We use it for the wedding website and things like that. Obviously, we're, on the knot as well. But
Yes.
I definitely want to check that out because that is a reality check for a lot of, clients and brides and grooms because they don't know until they know, and then it can sometimes cause a little frustration and confusion with the family and maybe a
Yes.
few arguments.
Totally. Budget is like, we always joke about it, the B word, right? It's this like dirty word. Everybody has
Yeah.
one. Nobody really wants to talk about it. And so I think this is really unlocking a lot of great intel for couples, which I love. And it is, to your point, it's one of those things where you get it out front, up in the open early on, and then you can really succeed from there. But you know how much you have to spend, you know where you want to put it. It's a really, really great tool.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. Okay, what would you say is the most popular thing that people use from the knot?
So I think it
Or they love
has,
the most, I guess.
yeah, I think it has to be the Not Vendor Marketplace. So you hinted at this earlier. I feel like this is the crown jewel of all of our offerings because it is so robust and so wildly helpful. So the Not Vendor Marketplace combines about 200,000 local wedding professionals. So a million of our couples can pop online and be like, gosh, I need a florist in Orlando, Florida, or I need to find a baker right outside of New York City. And you can go in and you can look at people who can help you bring your vision to life, who are in your locale. They can also filter through budget. So again, you're picking somebody who can actually execute your vision and keep you in the black.
Right? Yeah.
And you can also read reviews. I mean, how many times have you been swayed to buy one product over another on Amazon because you see the
Absolutely.
stars
And
in
I'm
the
always
review,
reading all of them. I'm like, oh,
right?
bad review, not going with them.
Exactly. So it really allows you to kind of hear from other couples. Like, I use this photographer. They were amazing. They were so great with my great aunt who was in a wheelchair, or, whatever, that
Yep.
allows you to really kind of get a good idea of what you're getting. So these are the pieces of information that you need to really bring those vendors to your wedding day and to help them bring your vision to life. So being able to like search and have all of them right at your fingertips is so helpful. And what I love about it is that we have wedding pros of all different kinds. There's 25 categories on our site. So you can find
It's
everything.
grown so much. Every time I go on there, I'm like, oh, wait, this is a new category.
It is. Oh my gosh, there are new categories every day. But it's great because it really helps you. And like I said, if you've never planned a wedding before, you're like, what do I do? Like, there's no phone book. There's like, where do I go to find these people? Right. And so
Right.
this is a way to kind of Google search for vendors in a very controlled environment that's going to give you all the details that you need to make the best decisions for you.
Right.
I
No, I
think
love
that's
that.
my favorite of all of our tools. And I think it's the one that's most often used.
Right. And I always tell like even our couples that are looking on there, like the people that are on the knot, they're invested, they're wanting more business, they're wanting and to me that's huge, you know. So for
Totally.
somebody, anybody can make a website or a Facebook page or Instagram, but I feel like when a company's invested and they're out there advertising and they're getting those reviews, like that means so much more. So no, that's
I
awesome.
totally agree. Yes.
um
We're in the choir.
I love it. And I'll get on there all the time and just check to see if there's like any new vendors in the area to see maybe we're looking for, I don't know, someone that builds custom things or does something
Yeah,
cool. And we can get on there and like, 'cause sometimes they don't, if they just Google, you can't always find everybody. But
it's true.
you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
obviously being on the knot, you know, we can go to a certain city, obviously categorize by photography, you know, because we always love to use new people coming up and you know like to switch it
Yeah.
up here and there, so it's always a good resource for us.
I
And we
love
also put on an expo, and so we'll always go in there and be like, do they need to do the expo? So
No, it is. It's true. And the thing I love is that we're continuing to evolve it. So, like now we're offering up places where vendors can actually list their pricing, where like a range for their services, which I think is so helpful. Again, we're really trying to like destigmatize the budget, the money of it all, and let people
right,
know what things cost. And it's great for not only the couple who's looking to plan and stay in budget, but also for the vendor. They're getting like qualified leads. They're not getting people who can't afford them, or it's a really nice way to do that. And then, like I said, with the reviews, that's just so helpful for
so
couples who are
helpful.
trying to make their decision. So definitely better than Instagram or Google in my book.
Right. No, and I agree to the reviews. Like we'll have clients that, you know, will reach out and be like, "Oh my gosh, I read the reviews about Eliza in the office or something." They'll be like, "I want to work with her," you know. So it's really cool to be able to have those and know like they're actual couples that are on the like they're real
Yes,
reviews. You know what I mean? They're
right.
not like fake paid written reviews. So
Exactly. Exactly.
yeah, no, that's awesome. Okay, so let's just say we have a potential couple getting married. Like, what would be the first thing they would want to do if they go on the knot?
So I always think the most important thing to do is to figure out what you want. And it sounds easier than it is,
Right?
because you and your partner have to get on the same page. And I think that it can be a little overwhelming. So much so that we actually created a style quiz. And the not style quiz I love because it shows you not only images, but it also gives you
Oh,
the vocabulary that you can then use with your vendors, right? Because you might think you want something that feels coastal, but is it really coastal? Is it boho chic, like all of this vocabulary. It's important to be on the same page with not only your partner, but also the vendors you hire. So I think the style quiz is a great place to start. You kind of get an idea of what you want and how you're going to execute that vision, because that does dovetail nicely into the budget, right? So the
right.
next thing I always tell couples is to set your budget.
What
Spoiler,
budget? No, I'm
on
kidding.
real data, right? The budget advisor can help you there, but really making sure you're setting a realistic budget and then thinking about how you want to use it, right? So everybody's got one. There's a whole pie here. How do you split it up? And so
Right.
determining your priorities early on gives you a better sense of where you want to invest. So, let that lead from your vision of like, oh, I need to have a floral wall. Okay, that's going to cost you some money. We better set a little extra aside for our florals. So being able
Right.
to really tackle your budget in that nuanced way, I think will set everybody up for success. And then my number one tip always is to hire that team, right? You cannot beat good vendors. They will not only bring your vision to
Amen.
life, but they're just like so helpful on all of these little moments, helping you budget, helping you prioritize, helping you make hard calls, introducing you to people. And also, taking a little bit of the stress out of it. It might be your first time planning a wedding, but it's not theirs, right? And so it's a great way for you to feel like you have this ally and this advocate as you go through this journey. So I always say, invest in really great vendors. If you can hire a planner, do that first and foremost, because that's going to
Amen.
trickle down for sure. I mean, I still keep in touch with my wedding planner. I adore her.
Oh,
It is
that's
one of those
awesome.
things.
I
where,
love that.
I was getting married in Florida. I was living in New York at the time, and she just made everything so seamless. She set up my appointments. She did what I needed to do. She talked me off the ledge when it rained on my wedding day.
Oh
There are just so
no.
many, yes, there are just so many
That's good
moments.
luck, Lauren.
I know. Well, you have to say that, right? It rained on your wedding day. You got to say that. Yeah, good luck.
Yeah.
But no,
Did
but
you have an
it
indoor or
gets
outdoor
really
wedding?
outdoor.
Outdoor, of course. Why wouldn't you?
It only rained 2 days in the month of November at my wedding venue in Sarasota, Florida. And they were the 2 days of my rehearsal dinner and my wedding. But the show went on. We got married and it was still magical. But yeah, that's where those vendors really can pivot. They can, act very quickly if if plans change, if you have to move to a plan B, if extra guests show up, they're professional. So I always recommend hiring that vendor team. And like we've been saying, they're all in the Not Vendor Marketplace. So you can
Right.
really pop in there and find the people who are going to bring that vision to life.
No, for sure. And we say that too with hiring the right team, like the relationship we have, let's say we're at an event and we need extra linens or we need something, like I can pick up the phone call and have something within an hour. If you're
Right.
the couple or the mother of the bride or groom, like on Saturday at noon, probably no one's answering,
No, you
So,
don't have that little black book in your pocket.
right.
You don't know people.
And sometimes it's hard to explain that to people. So when we are doing consultations, like we'll give them scenarios and I'll be like, hey, they're not going to answer your phone call.
Right. They've
So
got me in their favorites.
yeah, no, no, for sure. Okay. So talking about what to do first, what would you say are the biggest mistakes that couples make?
I hate to keep saying it, but budget. I feel
I
like,
know.
it's almost
Yeah.
like a home renovation project. How many people do you meet that are like, no, I didn't go over budget. I came in under. Like, it's hard to stick to a budget because, you get into this mentality of like, this is one day, it's this epic party, it's our love story. And so, you start to quickly overspend. So I think part of the way to set you up for success is make sure you have a realistic budget. So use the Not Budget Advisor, decide what you want to spend, be really thoughtful about how you're spending because that is always a tricky one. So that's a big mistake couples make. We find a lot of people go over budget, and our goal with the Not Budget Advisor is to make sure you're not doing that, right?
Yeah.
That you're staying in the black, that you're providing for not only this amazing day, but like your life after, right?
Right.
And then I think the nice thing too to think about is the mistake of hiring the wrong people or not hiring people. So just like you said, there are so many scenarios that you can't think about at the start of your planning that will inevitably happen. So when you are able to bring on a good team, you're not going to be left. I mean, there were so many things that went wrong on my wedding day that I didn't learn about until like days later, weeks later, right? And it's because I was able to really live in the moment and enjoy my guests and enjoy all the planning that had come to fruition on that day. So I think, a big mistake couples make is not, hiring the right team or saying like, oh, I don't think I need that person. If you're going to do it right. Prioritize these vendors because they are going to make a huge difference in your wedding day.
Absolutely. I love when people are like, "Oh yeah, Uncle Bob's gonna bring the beer, and the groomsmen are gonna bring the ice, and then guess who's doing it? The wedding
Right. You're
planner,
like, I've seen this movie.
right?" And I can't harp on that, enough. As long as you hire the right vendors, and obviously using the Not Marketplace, for respected, vendors to be able to go through there, like your day is going to be so much more seamless.
Totally.
So.
That's what you want. I mean, how long have you been planning this? Like, it needs to be seamless.
Right. No, for sure. And I always tell clients too, it's like building a house. Like, you've got your budget, but even when we do budgets, we cushion in a little extra because we know you're going to like something a little bit more expensive than what we talked about. And when you meet with vendors, of course, they're going to upsell you on items and then you can't get it out of your head. So then you definitely want it.
Yeah.
So same concept as building a house and having a contractor to help you. When I built my house, I was like, oh, I really want the black windows, not the white windows. And then they sent the price and I was like, oh, but I really
It'll
want
be
them.
fine.
So it'll be fine. I'll figure it out. So, no, that's
No,
awesome.
it's true. And there are things that, a couple might not think about, like gratuities, taxes, things that, a seasoned planner will be like, oh, well, I know it says this, but you have to add in these additional fees. So I totally agree with you. Having a little cushion is so helpful.
Yeah, no, for sure. And with all of our clients, we highly recommend for them to get wedding insurance as well. And that's another way to protect your budget and your money and everything you've spent. Do you guys have, I haven't never looked for wedding insurance on the Knot, but do y'all have vendors for that?
Certainly, there are
Okay.
vendors who do it. Yeah. I think it's become a bigger thing in recent years. And you're absolutely right. You're making a huge investment in your wedding day. So being able to protect that, I think, is really valuable. We have a lot of content too around, not only just protecting, but like, what does insurance cover? Because I think like every contract you get when you're planning a wedding, like even the cake cut, you're like, wait, does this feel right? I was very fortunate.
Right.
My dad was a lawyer. I'm like, can you read
I was
this?
like, yeah, you need an attorney to look at all
Yes,
of them over.
exactly. You need someone to like help you navigate that, and that's what we kind of try and do too. Because not every insurance is kind of a newer thing in this space,
It
and they're
is.
not all created equal. So we try and help educate you. That's a big part of our site. So in addition to like giving you these tools and the inspiration, we also try and educate so that you feel like you're, well versed going into these situations. You have the knowledge you need and you can execute on a decision, or say like, I feel comfortable signing this contract, or I feel comfortable making this investment. So I think that's a really sage advice too, especially if you're planning an outdoor wedding or if you have variables to it.
Right.
We
Well,
actually
yeah.
got married at an art museum. It was an indoor outdoor property, and we had to take out insurance to protect the art in case any of our
Oh gosh.
guests were a
Yeah.
little too tipsy and bumped into something.
Oh god.
So we needed
Um,
extra insurance.
right. Well, yeah, and especially like, we live where hurricanes are, so, that's a big plus of having insurance, but also,
Yes,
things happen, life is real, and I never like to tell a client or a couple this, but like, what if the venue burnt down? What if a vendor goes out of business? Insurance, like you
totally.
said, they all cover different things, but I explain it this way too. If you go buy a new SUV today, like you're not going to leave without insurance on it. So,
No.
and weddings are way different. My parents have been married 54 years, and so
Oh,
weddings are way different from then to now. And they only keep growing, which is
it's true.
amazing. I love spending other people's money and making making amazing things happen. So, no, it's so
Oh,
fun. So, what would you say are like the trendsetters for this year?
yeah, well, to your point that weddings keep growing,
Yeah.
we are finding that everybody is looking forward to their wedding. And in our Not
Oh
Real
yeah.
Wedding study of 2024, we found that 84% of couples say that this day, more so than anything else, is the thing they're looking forward to most. And you get
That's
it, right? There is
amazing.
this wild world that we're living in, macroeconomic trends, sociopolitical trends. There's just a lot going on. So bringing the joy, I think, is just so special. And what's better to celebrate than love, right? Like we're in the
Right.
business of parties and love at the knot, and it's just so refreshing. So having people celebrate is definitely a big trend right now. Especially, 5 years ago, like this week, 5 years ago, the pandemic hit. So hard
Oh,
to
I thought
believe,
about something popped up. It was my last wedding before like we weren't allowed to have any weddings. So I was like,
right?
that's been 5 years.
It's like no time has passed and all the time has passed.
Yeah.
But we know that couples like still remember that, right? There was a time when you couldn't gather and celebrate. So we're still seeing a lot of people really excited and trending into these big fun celebrations that just really honor their love story, but also this moment in time. We're also seeing technologies on the rise. So AI is everywhere. We can't ignore it. It's
I
infiltrating
know.
into
Say, how
weddings
do you feel
too.
about AI being from journalism?
It's so funny. I think that there is a place for AI, the same way that, newspapers were like, we'll go out of business when TV happens. It's the evolution of
No,
technology,
yeah.
right? I think we just have to use it kind of responsibly and be thoughtful about it. But I think it can be a really helpful tool. So we see people using it for guest communication, speech writing, and
Hmm.
also just leaning into the technology of it all. So we are seeing people using like laser shows and video mapping in addition to lighting to really bring their day to life.
Right.
One of the funny things we've seen lately, and I don't know if you've gotten wind of this, is betting apps for guests. Have you seen
No,
these
tell me
yet?
more.
Okay, so this cracked me up. When I first heard about this, I was like, wait, what? But it is this idea where you can bet on things. So if you are a guest at a wedding, you can all get together, download this app, and then you can bet on things like what the couple's first dance song will be. If they're going to have a signature cocktail, will their dog walk down the aisle? It's just a fun game.
That's
And
so cool.
yeah, you can bet on these little things. I feel like my fantasy football loving husband would be all over this if this was around when we got
Right.
married, right? But it's fun, and it's just a way to kind of lean into technology in a new way. So we're seeing a little bit of that. Pop culture always influences weddings. What I think
Right.
is so funny now is it's really influencing the themes for weddings. So we're seeing like old money aesthetic coming up, or country western vibes. Cottagecore is still a thing, quiet luxury, which I love. And the most surprising trend, at least for me to see, is that Gen Z are the modern tradition keepers. So they are really embracing those like classic wedding moments, like cake cuttings, bouquet tosses, more so than millennials. And
Right.
they're also embracing newer trends like unplugged ceremonies, which I kind of love, and just really focusing on being present and asking their guests to do the same. So that's kind of a trend that I think is a little unexpected, but I'm here for it. I think it's really cool.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. Yeah, we've seen all kinds of different trends, fade in and out. We were just at Cater Source, which is in Florida,
Yeah.
and they had the coolest thing. So it was a huge mural, and you could use it for corporate events or birthday parties, and it was a paint by number. So by the end of the event, you
Oh
had a cool painting that everybody got to be a part of.
oh my
Because
gosh.
remember when you were little, you would do the little paint, you could do the little fill
Yes.
in things. And
They've been
so
making a comeback and they're beautiful.
yeah, it was so cool. I was like, I would love, even a corporate event, birthday party, something, and really
Yeah,
just to have a piece of artwork or something after a wedding versus
totally.
a traditional old guest book that no one's ever going to look at again,
So
you
true.
know?
So true. No, I
So,
love that. And I love how the creativity knows no bounds. And I think that is one of the silver linings of COVID is that people were forced to kind of think differently and everyone just started doing things their own way. And we saw so many cool traditions and cool things that you might not have thought about for a wedding, like coming to life. And it's just a beautiful way to really honor and celebrate in a way that's authentically the couple, which I love. Because that's the thing you always walk away with, right? Like when you're like, oh my gosh, that was so them. So much better than any other like generic wedding that checked all the boxes. It's like, oh no, this was so personal. This was them.
right. Yeah. And I love that you say that because every time we meet with a couple, I'm like, I want this wedding to reflect you guys. I want people when they
Yes,
leave to be like, wow, that was totally you. This wasn't just a cookie cutter pretty wedding. You want to incorporate
exactly.
things, that, incorporate the, meaning of them when the couple or the clients and couples are there, they're like, oh, wow, this is totally you guys, so.
Yes.
No, that's awesome. We recently did a wedding and they had, so I live in Myrtle Beach and it's very cheesy, but on the boulevard, they do the airbrush spray paint,
Oh, yes.
the t shirts and the hats. Like, I would never get one, but if I was here on vacation, probably. And so we found one of the local ones here and we had them come to the wedding and they airbrushed trucker hats for everybody. And I've never seen anybody go more crazy over a hat.
I think it's also the personalization moment, right? You're like, this
Yeah.
doesn't have the couple's name on it. This is like something I customize. So I'm going to take it home and I'm going to wear it. But I
Right.
love that. And I bet that made like for so much fun at the after party, right? Everyone in their hats.
Yeah, it was hysterical. So with the knot, so obviously, with the website, the app, you all still have the magazine, right?
We do. We have a
Okay.
magazine that publishes twice a year,
Twice a
and
year.
we have
Okay.
our app and we have our website.
Okay. So where does all the inspiration come or how do you gather like where you just said 84% of like how do you guys collect all that or come up with the ideas?
Yeah, so the inspiration is really, us kind of boots on the ground, seeing what's new, seeing what the trends are. We do talk to the vendors in our community because, like you said, you were at this cool event and you discovered a paint by numbers mural. Like that's
Yeah.
such a cool thing that like we want our audience to know about too, right? So it really is our goal to be cutting edge on the trends and really have our finger on the pulse of like what's trending, what's going to trickle down from pop culture or other places. And then we also do our real wedding study. We do this once a year. And I feel like the unique thing about the knot is because we have so many people on our platform, we're really able to survey them and get very helpful data for couples who are planning their wedding, just as like a gut check. Is everybody doing this? Is everybody feeling,
Right.
scrunched with
Yeah.
this budget? And so we do collect data, which allows us to, share with not only our entire audience of couples, but also the vendor audience as well, which I think is really helpful in us all moving towards, evolving the business, evolving the trends, all of that. But we get about 18 million unique monthly visitors to the site. So we've got a
Wow.
lot of people going in there. We love social media because we actually get to interact with people, right? They'll DM us, they'll add comments to things. So that's always really helpful. But for us, it's about connecting with those couples and feeling like we're out there. So like in about 3 weeks time, I'll be on the ground at Bridal Fashion Week, bringing you
Oh,
the latest in dress
fun.
trends. That's really our goal here. And it's fun because what I love about the knot is you can find what you're looking for you. We really aim to present it in a way that like anything you're looking for, you can find. So if you want that super traditional white princess dress, we've got it. If you want something more fun and colorful, we can put you in the direction of that trend. Same thing with vendors. We're really here to help every couple plan their wedding. So we really try and find inspiration that is going to speak not to just one kind of couple, but to all couples. And like I said, that's changed a lot since COVID. So it makes it a little bit more fun in a way, to really source all this inspiration and find a way to make it unique to these couples.
No, that's awesome. So do you travel a lot?
I do
Or
travel. I love to
okay.
travel. I love to travel. I do travel. And I'm also really fortunate because I live in New York City and a lot of the action is here in New
I
York.
was gonna say, yeah, probably a lot's there, right?
Yeah, we have a lot of bridal designers. We have jewelry designers. We've got great planners, great caterers, but we do love to get out there. And then I have a whole team. We've got an amazing team that travels, that does events. So we're really kind of always taking a read on every part of the country, right? Because New York is this like little tiny island. We're in a bit of a bubble. So it's important for us to see like what's trending other places and what are couples thinking about in the Midwest or in California. So we really try and cast a wide net so that we are representing couples all over the country.
No, that's awesome. It was, gosh, I was trying to think. I used to go to knot parties. Do y'all still do
Yeah,
those?
we
Or
do. Oh my gosh,
okay.
I love a knot party. I used to get to go to a couple of those. We would always try and send editors throughout the year, just to get, again, boots on the ground, getting to talk to you guys,
Yeah.
leaders, and like hear what are your clients excited about? What do you think are trends you want to see trend? Because oftentimes it is you guys who are like pushing forward things, right? Like everybody's doing it and all of a sudden it's becoming a trend. So that was one of my favorite things, is to really get out there and chat. So we do still do those. And we do a lot of vendor events too now throughout the country, just so we
Okay.
get that FaceTime,
Yeah.
and get to kind of see what's going on in various pockets of our country.
Yeah. No, I've been to quite a few. There was one we went to in St. Augustine. Gosh, it's
Fun.
probably been 5 or 6 years ago, maybe longer. I don't know. It's been a while. But it was so amazing. Like every little detail. I mean, I loved everything about it. So,
Well, yeah, we like lean on our amazing vendor partners. So it's like, and I will tell you, those parties are so fun because nobody knows how to throw a party like a wedding vendor.
right.
Like they just did
Exactly.
it. And when you're not being, told what to do by a client and your
Yeah, you get to be
imagination
really
can run
creative.
wild, it's, oh my gosh, it's incredible. And this is the thing I always say to couples. I'm like, maybe you should just lean in a bit to whatever they're suggesting, because the ideas are always so cool and so unique.
Right. No, I love that. Okay, so I know you've been with the knot for 12 years, give or take.
Yeah,
That's wild. That's awesome. Over a decade.
over a decade.
Is there any story or highlight that y'all have done that really stood out, or something that takes the cake?
Takes the cake. I know that's such a hard one. There's so much to choose from.
Right.
I have worn a lot of hats in my time here, and it's hard to say. For me, I feel like I always get excited every time we're shooting a new cover. I always get excited to, hear these real wedding stories. I think those are so impactful. And we do cool things from time to time. Like I got to tape a pilot for a TV show that never quite took off, but it was very much a la House Hunters. It was called I Do to the Venue. And it was really fun to take this couple around to 3 different venues and help them choose what their
Cool.
wedding venue would be. So that was a really fun moment for us, just because I felt like it was cutting edge and new. And it was also really fun to like get to be with the couple. The stuff that you get to do every day, right? To like really get to know the
Right.
couple and bring their vision to
I mean,
life
we
and
always
connect to
joke
it.
and say we need reality TV because it's way
Right?
better and it's not even scripted.
Exactly, exactly. So that was really fun.
That's cool.
No, and we've had parties over the years. We used to have a big gala every year, and that was always a really good time too. I always loved those parties because, again, I was like meeting with super cool people. Usually one planner was tasked with, creating the vision and bringing it to life, and the ideas were always just so cool. So that was always like a highlight of my year too. But there's so many great moments, big and small.
Right? No, that's awesome. That's cool. Okay, what advice would you give to a couple who's feeling overwhelmed? Which I feel like most people, when you get started, especially even if you go in the knot and you look at the task and to-do list, you're just like, whoa.
Yes. No, I think you're right. I think not only the task list, but also like the volume of inspiration out there. Like when you look on social media or anywhere
Oh, it's
else, like
wild.
I said to you, when I got to the knot, I was seeing all this stuff and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm second guessing every choice I made about my wedding. Did I choose the right flowers? But I think it's so important to just put a bit of blinders on. Like once you find your dress, be done looking at dresses. Once you make your decision about something, be done looking at those things as much as possible. And to remember that this social media, it's like a highlight reel. Some couple might have done this really incredible thing, but that might be the only one incredible thing they did at their wedding. And I think when I talk to people who have attended a wedding that they love, they're never like, oh my gosh, did you see that escort card display? Or, oh my goodness, the band was, those are certainly moments that stick out. And the guest experience is huge. Couples really are tapping into that and wanting to show their guests a great time. But maybe not try so hard, right? Like these are all people who love you, who are there to celebrate you. And I really feel like the best weddings I go to are the ones that feel so much like that couple. Only those two people could have thrown that party. And that's what I feel like couples should be prioritizing. What is them? What is unique to them? What do they really want to do? And to kind of, block out the noise. Inspiration is amazing in getting ideas, but then really make them your own. And you don't have to have 10 wow moments. You can choose one. You don't have to
Right.
do all the things. And I think it's hard. The other thing I always say to couples is you're going to do this again. Like I felt so much pressure about having a wedding. Now, hopefully you won't get married again. Hopefully you won't have another wedding, but
Right.
you will throw another party. You will be photographed again. You will have your hair and makeup done again. So like if all these things aren't amazing and perfect, it's okay. Like live in that moment and be in that moment and enjoy it for what it is. And that I think also helped reframe my idea that like, okay, I'll have another party. Like maybe I don't need all of these appetizers at this party or, whatever the case might be. So I think that's a
Right.
really important thing to keep in mind. And that, you're really throwing a personalized celebration, that this is something that is unique to you as a couple and doesn't have to look like everything else you're seeing.
Right. Yeah. And I totally agree. Like every time I meet with a client, I'm like, the guest experience is huge. Like people
Yes.
remember as many weddings, I'm sure if you've been to as I've been to, like people remember the experience. So
Yes.
I always tell people band and booze, entertainment and booze is what we need to have a good time, and
Exactly.
everything else will fall into place. Like I love beautiful
Totally.
linens, I love beautiful florals, I love statement pieces, but very rare. Probably the last wedding you went to, you probably don't remember what the linens looked like unless you looked
No,
at a photo. You know what I mean?
totally. And I'm somebody who like really pays attention to those things, right? Like I'm like,
Right.
ooh, what are these ones? Oh, I like those. Oh, I like, I'm somebody who really like leans in because it's what I do. But
Oh
no,
yeah,
you're
no, of
absolutely right.
course. I'm like,
I
oh
don't remember
gosh,
those
yeah.
moments.
No,
No.
I mean, me and you would notice it, but the average guest coming, they're just remember the
But I don't even
experience.
notice it sometimes. It's like I'm in
Right,
that moment, truly.
right.
Like I remember when I think about weddings, I remember like, oh my gosh, it was so sweet. They're like one of the weddings I went to did something we did too, where they had a dance for their parents, right? They played their parents' wedding song and they took the
Oh,
dance floor. And those are the kind of things that I'm like, oh, that's really sweet and endearing and unique and so them, right? And so about this family. That's the kind of stuff I remember, not the
right.
linens.
Yeah, exactly. No, I
Like get
love
good
it.
linens, but not the linens.
Right. No, for sure. So tell us kind of what a day to day looks like for you.
Ooh. Well, so
Crazy? No, I'm kidding.
so yesterday I was actually in our office. We do have an office in Manhattan, and I popped in there. Every day's a little different. Like today, I'm starting my day with you from my home
Love it.
office.
Thank you again.
Yes, and we're actually putting the finishing touches on our volume one, our spring issue, which will be out at the end of April. Super excited about it. I love who's on our cover. And I got to
Exciting.
interview them. I can't give you any spoilers, but it's really
Okay.
good. You're going to want to pick it up.
Love it.
But so, yes, we're putting the finishing touches on that. And then we're starting to plan for issue two, which is always exciting. We're gearing up for Bridal Fashion Week. So we'll have some meetings about that. So every day looks a little different, which I love. I'm also taping a social video for later this week. So there's always a little bit of everything going on, but it's all rooted in the core of like joy and celebration. And I
Right.
love the people I work with and I love what we're doing. I said this before, we're not curing cancer, but we are making such a big impact in people's lives in such a fun way that I'm just grateful every day that I get to do what I get to do.
That's awesome. I know. I always tell people when you're in this industry, like you love it,
Yes.
either you love it, or you're like, oh, this isn't for me. And if you love it and
Been there.
you're passionate about it, like every day that I get up and go to work, even this morning, like I don't feel like I'm working. Like I just love
Yeah.
it, very passionate about it, which goes a long way. And I can definitely see that in you that you're very passionate about, your career and obviously being with the Knot, which is amazing.
Totally.
Knot, I was talking not too long ago, like the Knot is like the word Google now. Like I don't know a bride or groom that doesn't know what the Knot is. You
Yes,
know, like
it is.
I feel like that's the first place anyone goes to.
I love hearing you say that. That's what we always want to be the case, for
I
sure.
mean, I don't know where else they would go, right?
And it is something that we've worked really hard at. We want to be that name that just like rolls off your tongue, that you're telling your friends about it, that, you're able to pop on and find what you need. Like that is really our goal here.
Right. And so for anyone that doesn't know what the Knot is, so it's free for brides and grooms, right? Correct? To
Mhm.
sign up.
Yes.
And obviously if you wanted to be a vendor or any, obviously you could get with a local Knot representative, obviously, to
Yes.
get on there. I highly recommend. We're 15 years strong with 15 cities. So
I love it.
we're
Yes, we love our vendors. It is a big part of our business. I always joke that we have these two audiences because we do think about that team and we lean on them a lot, like I said, for trends and things like that. So we have an arm of our business called Wedding Pro, and it's our B2B brand for the Knot and Wedding Wire, and that's where everybody filters into that marketplace. We do all sorts of things, events, real life connections. We help people, put together their portfolios. We make sure that their wedding website, or not their wedding website, their wedding storefront on the Knot Marketplace is as great as it can be. Through these community events, we do kind of lean into SEO, which I know you teed up,
Yeah.
which is super helpful for search results. And then we really want to help connect all of these vendors to all these couples, right? Because everybody needs each other. So that is like a really big part of our business. We really look to give people qualified leads and making sure that, they understand what they're getting from these vendors and that we're connecting people. But it's great. And you can search by category, you can search by business. Like you said, we are in all different cities. And so I think that's a great way for couples to really filter it in, but it's also a great way for vendors to get their, there's no phone book anymore. You're probably not buying a billboard. Like what's a great way to advertise to a really targeted audience? The Knot Marketplace.
Right. Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, I feel like billboards, radio, those have kind of, they're a thing, but they faded out for sure. I mean, we live at the tip of our, fingers of Googling something and being like, oh, I need this, and calling them, and, it's all right there. It didn't used to be that way.
No.
You used to not check your email till you got back to work the next day.
Right.
Now I'm in bed. I'm like, okay, let me just respond to a few of these.
Yes.
So, that's crazy. That's cool. Well, thank you so much for coming on to This Takes the Cake. It was super exciting and so honored to be able to chat with you and learn more about the Knot. I'm definitely going to go check out the budget. What do you call it?
The budget advisor. The
budget
Knot
advisor.
Budget advisor.
I like
Please
that word.
do.
Advisor.
Yes.
That's awesome. So tell everybody, obviously, where they can find you, theknot.com.
Yes, theknot.com. We're also on social media at The Knot on TikTok and Instagram and Pinterest, and Threads and Facebook. There's so many.
I know, it just keeps going. I'm like,
I know, it's crazy. But yes, theknot.com. We also, like I said, have a magazine that you can find in local newsstands. And yeah, we can be on your phone, we can be on your desktop, but we are certainly here to help you. And like I said, we talked a lot about Marketplace. We also have an amazing registry platform. You can put all the things you want on there. We've got everything from cash to stuff. I think we have 18 retailers now. And then we also offer really cool things like tickets to the NFL or women's gymnastics. Like we have a lot of experiences in there too. And then we also have wedding invitations. So if you're not sure where to go, we are a great resource. We'll even send you paper samples for free so you can get a feel for what it looks like. You can match those to your wedding website. So we really try and be with you every step of the way. So if you start at theknot.com, you are in really good hands.
That's awesome. Well, thank you so much, Lauren. It was so great talking with you.
You too.
Until next time.